Hello and welcome to Ignited Minds. Today I welcome you all to the discussion of the Hindu newspaper analysis. And today it's 12th of the July 2024 and we are here with around 12 news articles which are important from UPSC perspective. I'll elaborately discuss everything which is in these slides. You will have a broad understanding of foreground and background both, along with the maps, PYQs, PYQs of prelims and mains both. The point here is that this discussion, there is a disclaimer that this discussion is going to be a bit longer because today's newspaper is very much important. Friday, it's today Friday, and the Hindu comes up with some different articles in international edition, and when we talk about the Delhi edition, there is particularly this spotlight in which it has discussed this vegetable protein, which is actually the makhana. Fine. There is in-depth discussion about the mapping of Asia, Africa, and Europe. Why? Because Red Sea was in news. Fine. Red Sea was in news. That is why there is this discussion about Red Sea also. Now, let's not waste any further time or let's not discuss any other thing, but the news which are highlighted over here. So, first news is about Kaveri dispute. This is a perennial issue which has been there pre-independence till now, and now the point is we'll be discussing this entirely. There is border issue and terrorism. There have been raising militancy attacks in the UT of Jammu and Kashmir, and now there is one more news, and we have also seen last month attacks, and this month we have seen multiple articles coming up in this scenario. There is an interview of Arun Kumar sir, who is a well reputed economist, about the fiscal federalism of India. There is a short editorial about electric vehicles space and how to promote them. Dengue, dengue and Zika virus are also discussed in some of the editorials. Two of the editorials, so this two will be discussed, and diabetes also will be discussed. So there are three editorials when we talk about the disease. Fine. So these three editorials will be taken care of. One more editorial is about BIMSTEC, and one more editorial is about USA raising voices against the recent Russia India summit. Fine. So this entire package of prelims, mains, and current affairs and static will be delivered to you in a platter. I want all of you to have patience and be with me till the end of this discussion, and you will see, you will feel that you have achieved something for the day ahead, or you have concluded your day with this thing. So then you will be having that satisfaction that yes, now I am in a state that I have achieved my day. Fine. So now let's discuss a PYQ which was asked in UPSC 2024. Fine. So this PYQ was about the static portion which we discussed, and you can also see this thing, you can also see this point which was, you can also see this point which was asked by UPSC in its this year paper. The point was about the temporary presidentship or the provisional president. Basically, in Lakshmikant, it's not provisional president, it's written as temporary president. ठीक है, बस यही चीज का इस्तेमाल किया यूपीएससी ने, उनने टेम्पररी की जगह प्रोविजनल लिख दिया, एंड देन बच्चे गॉट कंफ्यूज्ड एंड दे आस्क्ड कि बिफोर डॉक्टर राजेंद्र प्रसाद हु टुक ओवर इट. ठीक है, लक्ष्मीकांत में साफ लिखा हुआ है दैट on the first meeting of constituent assembly on the 9th of December 1946, Muslim League boycotted this meet. ठीक है, and in this meeting Dr. Sachidanand Sinha was elected as a temporary president based on French practice. ठीक है. एंड यू नो व्हाट द मजे की बात इज कि ये वाला क्वेश्चन, ये फ्रेंच प्रैक्टिस वाला क्वेश्चन पहले भी आ चुका है. ठीक है. तो अगेन दे फ्रेम्ड द सेम क्वेश्चन बट अ डिफरेंट फैक्ट फ्रॉम द सेम पॉइंट. ठीक है. In the second meeting of Constituent Assembly on 11th of the December 1946, it was Dr. Rajendra Prasad who was elected as president, and it was H.C. Mukherjee who was elected as vice president of the assembly. Further, there was Dr. B.N. Rao. Sorry, it was B.N. Rao who was elected as and appointed as advisor to the Constituent Assembly. So these were the first two meetings of Constituent Assembly. और जब इसके बाद 13th of December को थर्ड मीटिंग हुआ, पहला सेशन हुआ कॉन्स्टिट्यूंट असेंबली का, इन दैट जवाहरलाल नेहरू केम अप विद द इनफेमस ऑब्जेक्टिव रेजोल्यूशन, जो सबको पता है, जो सबने पढ़ा है. आई वॉन्ट यू टू अंडरस्टैंड एंड रिवाइज फ्रॉम योर स्टैटिक नोट्स दैट ऑब्जेक्टिव रेजोल्यूशन में और प्रियम्बल में जो वर्ड्स मेंशन्ड है उनमें क्या डिफरेंस है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, देयर इज अ वर्ड मेंशन्ड इन ऑब्जेक्टिव रेजोल्यूशन, independent, sovereign and republic, that India will be that this Constituent Assembly resolves to proclaim India as independent, sovereign, republic. Sovereign and republic are two words which are there in preamble, but independent is not a word in preamble. So that is the difference. In objective resolution, there is a clear mention that there will be a status of autonomous units which will be given to the states. Fine. Such thing is not mentioned in preamble. So that is how I want you to understand the two things, have a comparative look and understand. Fine. You can further go through this explanation. Before this or after doing this, I want you also to remember this thing, that in 1934 it was M.N. Roy who first raised this concern that India should have its own constituent assembly, and it was in 1935 that the Indian National Congress demanded the constituent assembly officially. And it was in 1938 that Jawaharlal Nehru said that there should be a constitution of free India, and this constitution must be framed without outside interference by the Constituent Assembly, and this Constituent Assembly should be elected on the basis of adult franchise. This statement was given by Jawaharlal Nehru at that point of time. And it was in 1940 when finally the August offer came and the demand was accepted. Further, in 1942, it was Cripps mission which said that the Constituent Assembly and Constitution for India will be framed after the World War. And once this acceptance came after August offer by Cripps mission, this this proposal was rejected by Muslim League. Then in 1946 came the famous Cabinet Mission Plan, CMP, the plan which designed one constituent assembly for whole of the Indian subcontinent, and this was first accepted by Muslim League, but later it was rejected because Muslim League wanted a separate Pakistan. Then they asked for two constituent assemblies, which Cabinet Mission Plan outrightly rejected that there will be no two constituent assemblies. Fine. और उसी के बेसिस पे फिर बन गया ये. Done. That is about constituent assembly. You need to further dig in and understand that what are the other aspects of this. A question which I will ask you today is, kindly find and know about this thing. What is Maulankar rule? ठीक है, what is Mavlankar rule? Next point or the discussion for this editorial section today, this newspaper section today, will start with a famous dispute which every one of us might be aware of, should be aware of rather, is about the Kaveri river water dispute. Okay. So basically the dispute is between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, and you can see in the highlight that the Tamil Nadu Kaveri panel has asked Karnataka government to ensure the flow of water of the Kaveri river. Okay. This Kaveri river is basically the largest river in the state of Tamil Nadu. It originates from Brahmagiri hills of Western Ghat in Karnataka. ठीक है. This river is also often referred to as Dakshin Ganga. That is the Ganga or Ganges of South, and is considered one of the sacred rivers of India. Fine. It originates from Brahmagiri Hills, and to be particular about Brahmagiri Hills, it originates from Talakaveri. This is the point from where it originates. This Talakaveri is in Brahmagiri Hills, and Brahmagiri Hills is in Western Ghats. Remember this point. Fine. This river is sacred to the South India. The origin of this river Kaveri is famous pilgrimage and tourist spot in this Brahmagiri Hills. The tributaries of Kaveri River are those tributaries which originate from Western Ghats itself, and then join Kaveri are Harangi and Hemavati. हरांगी और हेमावती वेस्टर्न घाट से ही निकलती है, जहां से नॉट पर्टिकुलरली दैट पॉइंट तला कावेरी, जहां से तला कावेरी से कावेरी रिवर निकलता है वेस्टर्न घाट्स के ही स्ट्रेच में, नॉट पर्टिकुलरली फ्रॉम दैट पॉइंट बट फ्रॉम डिफरेंट पॉइंट्स हरांगी और हेमावती निकलती है, एंड देन दे ज्वाइन कावेरी रिवर. ठीक है. देयर इज वन मोर ट्रिब्यूटरी नोन एज लक्ष्मण तीर्था. These three tributaries come from Western Ghats only and then join Kaveri. On the other side, Kabini. Kabini originates from Kerala. ठीक है. It flows eastwards and then joins Kaveri at Tirumakudal, which is in Narasipur of Tamil Nadu. The other tributaries of Kaveri are Shimsha, Arkavati, Swarnavati, Bhavani, Lokapavani, Noyal, and Amravati. Done. Remember these tributaries. Now, the Kaveri river water dispute. This dispute is related to a long-standing conflict over the sharing of this water. कि कावेरी रिवर का वाटर तमिलनाडु, केरला, कर्नाटका, पुडुचेरी किसको कितना मिलेगा, वही चीज पे डिस्प्यूट है. दैट इज द वाटर शेयरिंग डिस्प्यूट. ये डिस्प्यूट कब से स्टार्ट हुआ और क्यों इतना लंबा खींचा, आई वॉन्ट यू टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस थिंग. ठीक है. तो बेसिकली दिस डिस्प्यूट, I'll be writing here with black pen. This dispute started, or if you see, the origin of this dispute goes back to 1892. At the time of Britishers, there was this presidency of Madras and the princely state of Mysore, जिनके बीच में ये dispute start हुआ. In 1924, Mysore and Madras दोनों ने आपस में एक agreement साइन किया, and that agreement was for 50 years. ठीक है. This agreement of 1974, this agreement came to end in 1974. Since 1974, Karnataka started diverting waters into its four newly made reservoirs without the consent of Tamil Nadu. Understood? Which resulted into the dispute in post-independent India also. Very well understood. Now, the point is, after this thing, there was Interstate Water Dispute Act of 1956, under which the Kaveri Water Dispute Tribunal was formed in 1990. Once this uh, tribunal was formed, now the issue and the adjudication of the issue of river water sharing goes to the tribunal only, and this thing cannot be overridden by the Supreme Court or the judiciary. अब ये पूरा मसला ट्रिब्यूनल के पास है. नाउ वट एवर द ट्रिब्यूनल सेज, दैट विल बी द फाइनल वर्डिक्ट. सो आफ्टर studies and analysis, it was said that there should be proper water sharing. कैसे water sharing होगी? तमिलनाडु को मिलेगा 419 TMCs. However, Tamil Nadu demanded 512 TMCs. Karnataka was asked to have 270 TMCs, which it said no, we need 465 TMCs. Similarly, Kerala was given 30 TMCs and Pondicherry 7 TMCs. Understand this thing. However, the final award was reserved and said that 10 TMCs, 10 trillion metric cubes, for environmental purposes, and 4 are inevitable to be as an outlet into the sea. कि आपको बहुत सारी चीजें मेंटेन करनी है. जो ये ट्रिब्यूनल है, आप पहले देखो ये जजमेंट कैसे दे रहा है, क्यों ये इंपॉर्टेंट है, ये वाटर शेयरिंग क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट है, मैं इतना जोर क्यों दे रहा हूं. ऑल्दो ये नंबर्स इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, बट यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड. वन इज इट गेव अ फाइन शेयर टू 4 ऑफ द स्टेट्स. नेक्स्ट इट सेड कि एनवायरमेंटल पर्पस भी जरूरी है, बिकॉज रिवर्स इन इंडिया आर सेक्रेड इन नेचर. दिस रिवर इज मोस्ट सेक्रेड इन नेचर, विच आई सेड in the starting only. Once that river is sacred, it's not only sacred for its devotion among its devotees, but this has environmental purpose also. The life of the river has to be maintained, है ना. Purity of the water has to be maintained, its flow into the sea has to be maintained. That are the points which you must keep in mind while writing answers in your means. कि आपको होलिस्टिक और कॉम्प्रहेंसिव एनालिसिस जिसको बोलते हैं ना, कि हर एक चीज पे हर एक स्टेक होल्डर, हर एक डायमेंशन पे नजर होनी चाहिए, वो चीज यहाँ पे देखनी है. ठीक है. इफ यू आर आस्क्ड अबाउट अ केस स्टडी इन अ डिस्ट्रिक्ट वेयर अ नॉर्मल चैनल इज फ्लोइंग, हाउ विल यू डिसाइड दैट what should be the dispute between the two villages, how the dispute can be solved between the two villages over a normal channel of water? You must understand that there are environmental consequences also. There is a normal flow, natural flow, which has to be maintained, and there is a proper share which should be given to both of the villages. That is how you will understand this thing. Okay. Once you understand the Kaveri river water dispute, now the point is, after certain years, government again took around 6 years and notified in 2013 on the directions of Supreme Court that the Tamil Nadu government, once it approached Supreme Court under Article 136. What is Article 136? As you see, यहाँ पे there is still a dispute because the states are not agreeing on the verdict which the tribunal had proposed. ठीक है. Now, Tamil Nadu went to Supreme Court under Article 136. Under Article 136, what's Article 136? It's special leave petition. That Tamil Nadu government said, quote, that because Karnataka government was not following the award of the tribunal, Article 136 makes Supreme Court the highest appellate court in the country. That is, anything, any issue, any judgment, any decree or determination or sentence passed by any court or tribunal in the territory of India can be taken over by Supreme Court, and Supreme Court can grant a special leave petition to that judgment so that it will decide it on its own for proper justice to be delivered. Okay, so these are issues which are related to Kaveri water dispute, which you must keep in mind. Now the final point and the last point is that the Supreme Court delivered its judgment in 2018, and in its judgment the final water sharing agreement was finalized as per the judgment given by Supreme Court. ठीक है, Supreme Court in 2018 said sum of the amount like 285 84 TMCs to Tamil Nadu and 404 to this 284 to Karnataka, 404 to Tamil Nadu, and some 30 TMCs to Kerala and 7 to Puducherry. That is something which we do not need to remember, but it also directed center to notify. इसने बोला गवर्नमेंट को कि आप एक काम करो, आप एक चीज बनाओ जिसका नाम होगा कावेरी वाटर मैनेजमेंट स्कीम. Once that scheme is formulated, then you will also make Kaveri Water Management Authority, and you will also make Kaveri Water Regulation Committee. These two bodies are now important because they will give the final decision into this matter, and that is how this body came into existence. जो यहाँ पहली लाइन में लिखी हुई है, that is Kaveri Water Regulation Committee. This is the Kaveri River Water Regulation Committee which was there formed. ठीक है, उसके बाद ये नंबर्स आपके लिए इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, ना ही वो नंबर्स इंपॉर्टेंट है जो यहाँ पे बोले गए. द इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट आर जो हमने यहाँ पे डिस्कशन किया वो इंपॉर्टेंट है. ठीक है, मूविंग फर्दर. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, next most important point is about the terrorism in the union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. As you might be aware of the attacks, there have been 4 attacks since June 9 in this region. Like कुटवा में अटैक हुआ, बहुत सारे हमारे लोग शहीद भी हुए हैं, कुछ हमारे जवान शहीद भी हुए हैं, कुछ हमारे लोग भी सिविलियंस भी मारे गए हैं. The point is what to do with terrorism and what are the broad frameworks in India about terrorism. Terrorism is deliberate. First of all, remember there is one of my students, a past student. He yesterday sent me a answer copy, and I was looking at that answer copy, and the first thing he started with was definition of terrorism. Okay, but the point is he started with this thing that there is no definite definition of terrorism. See, always approach answer writing with a mindset that to whom you are addressing this thing. Whosoever reads it, he must not get confused. See, there is a simple saying. If you can't simplify things, if you can't make them understand, confuse them. ठीक है, that is simple thing which we use in discourse and deliberations in philosophy. ठीक है, if you can't make them understand, confuse them. That you should not do in your answer writing. When you start with such statements, then the person will be कि ये क्या हो गया मेरे साथ. I asked a question about terrorism and he is saying there is no definition about terrorism. Now what should I do? Where should I go now? So that shouldn't be your approach. You should start with simplest of the things. If you don't know anything, start with your own words. Describe terrorism in your own words. Describe anything in your own words. That is acceptable. But do not try to oversmart or confuse the examiner, because he is someone who has read the books in our weight. Okay? Now, the thing is, what are the broad frameworks related to terrorism in India? Terrorism is a deliberate and unlawful use of violence and intimidation. ठीक है, violence, intimidation, especially against civilians, to instill fear and achieve political, religious, and ideological goals. So the goals can be political, ideological, or religious. Fine. That is terrorism. What does it actually want to achieve? It wants to achieve a climate of fear, disruption, and uncertainty. ठीक है, this is something with which you should introduce your questions about terrorism. Next point is that India has a zero tolerance policy about terrorism, and this policy was day before yesterday in newspaper only, that India and Russia has agreed, India plus Russia has agreed on the zero tolerance policy against terrorism. However, you must be amazed by listening this thing that the same policy was earlier also in news about India and France accepting this zero tolerance policy. Okay? So that is how you should understand this thing. Now, what are the laws with respect to terrorism in India? When we talk about the domestic laws in India, it is UAPA, or Unlawful Activities Prevention Act of 1967. It designates first terrorist organizations, it designates individuals, it designates and criminalizes terrorist activities, it empowers the authorities to investigate and prosecute those who are involved in terrorism. ठीक है, remember, one is organizations, one is individuals and one is activities. तीनों चीजों को ये टैकल करता है. रिमेंबर दिस थिंग, इंडिविजुअल्स, ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस एंड एक्टिविटीज, तीनों चीजें. ठीक है. सेकंड एक्ट इज at the domestic level, at the national level, we have National Investigation Agency Act of 2008. This act established an agency for investigating and prosecuting terror related offenses. ठीक है. Further, we have institutional frameworks also, like National Security Council Secretariat, National Security Council Secretariat, which oversees and coordinates national security strategies and includes counter-terrorism efforts. We have Ministry of Home Affairs. We have this National Investigation Agency which was formed under this act. Okay. If we talk about international agreements, so India is signatory to UN conventions against terrorism. कौन कौन सा convention है? First is Convention on Prevention and Punishment of Offences against internationally protected persons, including the diplomatic agents. This convention is of 1973. आप ये लिख लेना पूरा कौन सा कन्वेंशन है जो मैंने अभी बताया. कन्वेंशन ऑन प्रिवेंशन एंड पनिशमेंट ऑफ ऑफेंसेस अगेंस्ट इंटरनेशनली protected persons including diplomatic agents, 1973. India is also signatory to International Convention Against Taking of Hostages, 1979. India is also signatory to International Convention for the Suppression of Finances of Terrorism, Suppression of Finances of Terrorism, 1999. This is also there, the international conventions which India is signatory to. Done. There are some challenges which are with regard to terrorism. You might have heard this term, lone wolf attacks. These are self-radicalized individuals who take uh, part in without being associated to the larger groups. They conduct their own attacks single-handedly. ठीक है. There are challenges like bioterrorism, post COVID-19 pandemic, viruses, weaponization of viruses, bacteria, uh, biological toxins which are used in such manner that they instill and they ideate this definition which we have discussed over here. The unmanned drone threats. UAVs and drones have been in news. पिछली बार भी जम्मू एयरपोर्ट पे या उससे पहले बॉर्डर के आसपास देयर हैव बीन मल्टीपल ड्रोन अटैक्स जिनको न्यूट्रलाइज किया गया था by our forces. There has been some places known as terrorist safe havens in Africa and Middle East, which play a part in promoting the terrorism. There are terror nexus groups and terror crime nexus groups that terrorists plus organized criminal groups are helping each other. They are forming syndicates and they are regulating their finances through cryptocurrencies, through drugs. कल हमने गोल्ड स्मगलिंग देखा थ्रू हवाला. ठीक है, इतने डिटेल में टेररिज्म मुझे लगता है इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी में भी नहीं पढ़ाया जाता है. यू शुड बी अवेयर ऑफ दिस थिंग दैट योर होल टॉपिक इज गेटिंग कवर्ड. ठीक है. So now these are the challenges and these are the issues which are related to the terrorism. But when we talk about the terrorism and its challenges in India, we can see that Indian challenges or challenges particular to our country are somehow different. Like we have cross border terrorism. ठीक है. Like in 2019 we had Pulwama attack and 2024 we are having these Riyasi attacks in our territory which are somehow sponsored by the cross border countries. Second important fact and important issue with India is left wing extremism, LWE affected areas, that is the Naxalite insurgency areas, where the persistent challenge to India is that our own people are against our own forces. ठीक है. These are the Maoist rebels of Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand. ठीक है. There have been recent incidents in the last year in Narayanpur district of Chhattisgarh also. There is separatist movement and militancy in northeast and Punjab also. The presence of Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed like groups which are based in Pakistan in Jammu and Kashmir are one of the critical dimension of this challenges that where our challenges stand, कि जिनको टैकल करना हमारे लिए बहुत ही ज़्यादा मुश्किल हो जाता है बिकॉज दे आर बीइंग स्पॉन्सर्ड बाय सम अदर by the finances, by the technology, by the arms, ammunitions of some other country. Fine. There are radicalization and online propaganda over different social media platforms about the same thing. Fine. There is cyber terrorism also, and there is Pakistan exiting the grey list of FATF also, which is a concern for India. So then what measures can be adopted are measures like rehabilitation, not just punishment, but to rehabilitate them. There should be a national national level based counter terrorism database which should be developed. There can also be enhancement in the physical security measures like surveillance systems, access control. यहाँ पे जो news है is about cameras. That is a surveillance system in the border. The news talks about कि cameras में कोई trap नहीं हुआ है. That is somehow where we lack technologically कि cameras में trap नहीं हुआ है. तो where from do you suspect that they have come? So the article suggests that there could be tunnels, like the tunnels which are used by Hamas. ठीक है, there could be tunnels. ठीक है, तो that is one more thing. There can be an open source intelligence training for police also. We should empower the local communities to join hands, like जिसके लिए हमने हिमायत and Ummeed. These are the two schemes which have been launched in the Jammu and Kashmir. There is Khelo India Center. ठीक है, Khelo India Center which has been established for de-radicalizing the youth, mainstreaming the terrorism, keep talking about it, winning their hearts and minds in Jammu and Kashmir. That should be the claims and campaigns which we should focus on. Done. That is about terrorism. Third important thing is about the vegetable protein. That is the vegetable protein also called as मखाना. ठीक है, ये कहाँ पे पैदा होता है? तो मिथिला रीजन बिहार में पैदा होता है. Around 90% of India's makhana is produced over here. India contributes to the 80% of world's मखाना डिमांड. अभी ये क्रॉप इतना ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट क्यों है और मैं इस पर डिस्कशन क्यों कर रहा हूँ? बिकॉज आप देखो एक ही डिस्ट्रिक्ट से 90% प्रोडक्शन हो रही है पूरी इंडिया की, और इंडिया इतना ज़्यादा प्रोड्यूस करता है कि 80%। सो दैट शोज हाउ मच पोटेंशियल डज दिस क्रॉप हैव, ठीक है, इन द इंटरनेशनल मार्केट, एंड हाउ इंडिया कैन यूज एंड हैव बेनिफिट्स ऑफ दिस क्रॉप प्रोडक्शन फॉर द लोकल कम्युनिटीज, ठीक है। दैट इज हाउ वी कैन अप्रोच कि ये जो प्रोग्राम है ना, ये जो मखाना है ना, इसको वन डिस्ट्रिक्ट प्रोग्राम के अंदर भी लिया गया था। तो उसको भी समझना ज़रूरी है कि वन डिस्ट्रिक्ट प्रोग्राम के अंदर अगर हम ऐसे कुछ प्रोडक्ट्स लेते हैं तो कितना ज़्यादा, वन डिस्ट्रिक्ट वन प्रोडक्ट प्रोग्राम है एक्चुअल में, कितना ज़्यादा बेनिफिट हो सकता है लोकल कम्युनिटी को, ठीक है। रेस्ट यू कैन गो थ्रू द एक्सप्लेनेशन। तो यू कैन सी दैट देर इज अ होलसेल प्राइस ऑफ 250 rupees per kg. However, this was decades ago and currently it's around 1400 kgs as per now. So the price has raised. Local farmers and local harvesters, they can also get themselves helped. However, there is a lack of government support, and this makhana calls for MSP to be included into MSP, which is not yet. अभी तक के MSP में नहीं आया है, इसको MSP में लाने की मांग की जा रही है, ठीक है, ठीक है। Next editorial talks about the special packages outside Finance Commission allocations. This article pertains to the fiscal federalism of India. कि how and why should we talk about fiscal governance of India, ठीक है। ये एक्चुअल में इंटरव्यू है द प्रोफेसर इकोनॉमिस्ट एट जवाहरलाल नेहरू यूनिवर्सिटी, JNU में ये प्रोफेसर है, बहुत ही बड़े इकोनॉमिस्ट है जिनकी बातें हमेशा गवर्नमेंट सुनती है। पॉलिसी, ब्रॉड पॉलिसीज में इनका बहुत ज़्यादा रोल होता है। इन्हीं का ये एडिटोरियल है। लेट्स गो थ्रू देयर की इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स what they are highlighting in this interview. Basically, it's not a recommendation, it's nothing like that. This is just a normal interview. What he talks about, that there is a fiscal, uh, you can say, disparity between the states. What he says is that there have been rising demands by Nitish Kumar and Chandrababu Naidu, क्योंकि ये दोनों लोग ऐसे हैं जो who are actually the linchpins to the current government, the fate of the NDA, National Democratic Alliance, currently, है ना। तो as per the 15th Finance Commission, which allocated largest amount of funds to UP and Bihar in 2020-2021, while Karnataka and Kerala saw the largest decrease in their share, है ना। तो that is the point which he is highlighting कि इतना ज़्यादा fiscal disparity है states में। Done. One thing. Second thing is that there are concerns about credit deposit ratio in Bihar being much lower than all India average. Why is it so? कि क्रेडिट और डिपॉजिट रेशियो बिहार में क्यों ज़्यादा है, कि लाइक लोन कितना लिया जा रहा है और सेविंग्स कितनी की जा रही है, डिपॉजिट, ये डिस्पैरिटी में क्यों है? बिकॉज द सेविंग्स आर लीकिंग आउट टू अदर स्टेट्स। वाई? बिकॉज देर इज लॉट ऑफ माइग्रेंट पॉपुलेशन of Bihar, and the credit goes to particularly the household which is living in the Bihar, in the state of Bihar, ठीक है। सेकेंड इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग ही हाईलाइट्स कि फाइनेंस कमीशन के परव्यू के बाहर रेवेन्यू जो सेंटर जनरेट कर रहा है, दैट इज लाइक सेस, और वी कैन टॉक अबाउट टैक्स ऑन टैक्स, सरचार्ज, these are such of the issues जहां से सेंटर का रेवेन्यू आ जाता है, एंड which has led to increase in centrally sponsored schemes, ठीक है। तो these are some points which you should keep in mind when you read about fiscal federalism. Fiscal federalism in itself is a large topic, but आज से 4 दिन पहले हमने एक हिंदू पेपर के एनालिसिस में ही 16th फाइनेंस कमीशन को अच्छे से डिस्कस किया हुआ था, ठीक है, कि 16th फाइनेंस कमीशन के टर्म्स ऑफ रेफरेंस क्या है, उस पर क्वेश्चन भी पूछा था मैंने, तो आप उसके थ्रू जा सकते हो, ठीक है। अभी टाइम उतना ज़्यादा, ये बहुत ज़्यादा खिंच जाएगा ये डिस्कशन अगर मैंने उतना ज़्यादा डिस्कशन किया यहाँ पे। तो नेक्स्ट पॉइंट इज अबाउट फ्यूचर इन्वेस्टमेंट्स इन इंडियाज इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल स्पेस। नाउ व्हाट आर द फ्यूचर इन्वेस्टमेंट्स इन इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स स्पेस इन इंडिया? दिस एडिटोरियल टॉक्स अबाउट द रीसेंट एंड द न्यू पॉलिसी जिसका नाम है न्यू इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल पॉलिसी 2024, न्यू इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल पॉलिसी 2024, which was announced recently by the government. Earlier, इससे पहले हमारे पास कुछ और पॉलिसीज थी, लाइक we had Make in India campaign, we have production linked incentive scheme, we have FAME 1 and FAME 2, we also have Electric Mobility Promotion Scheme 2024. ठीक है, these are such schemes जो ऑलरेडी इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल के डोमेन में काम कर रही है. Now, what is the goal and larger objective of this electric manufacturing or electric vehicle policy? Is that we should position India as a prime manufacturing hub for EVs. ठीक है, कि बहुत ही बड़ा हब बन जाए इंडिया फॉर इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स. So, what is this new policy trying to do? First of all, it reduces the import duty to 15% only on high value electric vehicles. ठीक है, this 15% custom duty will be imposed on the electric vehicles with a minimum cost, insurance and freight value of $35,000. ठीक है, above 5 years period. Second thing which this policy wants to do is that it wants to reduce the duty imports and cap the number of imported EVs at 8,000 per year. कि टोटल इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स जो इंपोर्ट होके आएंगी वो बस 8,000 होनी चाहिए थ्रू द रूट ऑफ इंपोर्ट. एंड इट ऑल्सो टॉक्स अबाउट दैट देयर शुड बी द मैन्युफैक्चरर्स जो ये बना रहे हैं, दे मस्ट इन्वेस्ट अ मिनिमम ऑफ 4,150 crores टू अवेल ड्यूटी कंसेशंस. कि कोई भी इलेक्ट्रिक, बेसिकली ये चीज़ क्यों आई, एक्चुअली में आई वांट टू गिव यू अ बैकग्राउंड दैट इज फ्रॉम this Tesla. What they actually wanted to do is they wanted an enclave economy. ठीक है, इलॉन मस्क भाई साहब ने बोला कि हम इंडिया आएंगे, हमें एक एनक्लेव दिया जाए, हम यहाँ पे अपनी प्रोडक्शन करेंगे, अपना फैक्ट्री लगाएंगे, अपनी चीज़ें बनाएंगे, खुद ईवी वहाँ से लेके आएंगे और यहाँ लेके आएंगे, बट यहाँ से बाहर कोई टेक ट्रांसफ़र नहीं होगा, इंडिया को कोई बेनिफिट नहीं होगा. एंड on the top of that we should also be given custom duty and custom exchange, these custom duty, what we call as allowances, and we should be sorry, there should be redemption of custom duties for our enclave economy. Now the point is that if any manufacturer wants to establish his unit in India, he can be allowed, or in total there should be only an import of 8,000 units of electric vehicles to be imported into India. Any manufacturer who is investing in India and wants to have avail this import duty remission, he must at least invest around 4,000 crores in India to avail this duty concession. Third important point of this policy is that it promotes local manufacturing and says कि कोई भी कंपनी जो EVs के साथ कर रही हो, it must set up an operational facility in India within 3 years of time, and it must also achieve, पहली चीज क्या बोल रही है, remember, first thing is that it should set up an operational facility within 3 years. It must also achieve minimum domestic value addition of 25% with the same period. 3 साल के अंदर अंदर ही इसको डोमेस्टिक वैल्यू एडिशन 25% का करना होगा. प्लस it should also escalate 50%. This domestic value addition should also increase to 50% in 5 years from the date of issuance of the approval letter. ठीक है, जब से इसने स्टार्ट किया होगा काम यहाँ इंडिया में. The one more important point about this policy is that if the investment exceeds $800 million, Then the electric vehicles which are being imported should not exceed 8,000 per year. Companies can carry over any unused annual import limits. They can carry, for example, a company A, to simplify this thing, is based in US, China, or Europe, anywhere. It deals with electric vehicles, it's producing electric vehicles, it comes to India. Okay, and now it wants to import from this place to India electric vehicles. There is a cap of 8,000 यूनिट्स दैट ये 8,000 इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स वहां से, चाहे वो रिक्शा हो, वो गाड़ी हो, वो एसयूवी हो, वो हैचबैक हो, ये वहां से लेके इंडिया आ सकता है 8,000, प्रोवाइडेड ये 8,000, फॉर एग्जांपल अगर इसने पहले साल में 8,000 नहीं इंपोर्ट किए, इसने बस 6,000 इंपोर्ट किए, तो इसके पास अभी भी कैपेसिटी है कि ये 2,000 और इंपोर्ट कर सकता है ना। पहली चीज, ये 2,000 ये अगले साल 10,000 कर सकता है इंपोर्ट नाउ इन द सेकेंड ईयर। ठीक है, दैट इज व्हाट दिस पॉलिसी सेज, बट in any year this should not increase to more than 8,000, one thing. Second thing is that अगर ये अपना यूनिट या यहाँ पे इंडिया में डील कर रही है इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स के साथ, तो इस पे एक और कंडीशन लगती है जो हमने यहाँ पे डिस्कस की कि पहली चीज, इसको ऑपरेशनल फैसिलिटी बनानी पड़ेगी इंडिया में 3 साल की, इसको इंडिया से प्रोडक्ट्स लेने पड़ेंगे और डोमेस्टिक वैल्यू एडिशन करना पड़ेगा अपने व्हीकल में 25% पहले 3 साल में और 50% इन टोटल 5 ईयर्स। ठीक है, देन ओनली इसको ड्यूटी रिमिशन मिलेगा। Understood? So these are some of the issues, some of the key points of this policy which you must keep in mind. Moving to next editorial. This editorial talks about the dengue. Recently, there is a focus and we have seen a surge in dengue cases in Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Recently, we have seen around 19,000 cases in April 2024. 16 उसमें से डेथ्स हो गई। Globally, there are around 7.6 million cases which have been reported in 2024 alone about dengue. Now the point is, this editorial links the spread of dengue with urbanization. So this becomes important to your society paper. Society में GS1 में there is a topic urbanization. ठीक है, urbanization के ill effects or negatives of urbanization. Plus, there can be one more point which can be asked, that is the problems of urbanization and healthcare. The problems of urban infrastructure and healthcare, which in which you can rightly quote this editorial. Okay. Now the point is, in global spread, 90 countries have known active dengue transmission. 90 countries में currently dengue transmission हो रहा है. Is an endemic in over 100 countries across Africa, America, Mediterranean, Southeast Asia. Only Asia accounts for 70% of the global disease burden. The factors which contribute to the spread of this disease are first urbanization and population movement, climate change induced shifts, monsoon, distribution of Aedes aegypti vector, the mosquito which who carries this dengue. What are the symptoms? It's transmitted by this mosquito, as I said. The symptoms are that there will be acute febrile illness, headache, retroorbital pain. There will be arthralgia, rashes, hemorrhagic manifestations, and in some cases it may lead to death. Platelets कम हो जाते हैं और बहुत सारी और चीजें हो जाती है, इंसान वीक पड़ जाता है, and that is it. First epidemic of clinical dengue was recorded in Madras in 1780s. These are some facts which you can remember. How to prevent and control? There are only some methods which we can use, like surveillance of mosquitoes. What are the breeding grounds of mosquitoes? There we can introduce some genetically modified these mosquitoes who make them uh, who make their sting or who make their tick non-effective and they cannot carry. We can have studies, biological studies about the mosquitoes, and then we will see that how it can be tackled. Okay, very well understood. Next editorial, basically it's not an editorial, it's just a comment by the US ambassador about India and Russia relations, जो हमने देखा India Russia summits. Now the point is, what he highlights here is that there is no such thing as strategic autonomy during conflicts. What is strategic autonomy? That India says, भाई साहब हमारा देश है, हमें रिलेशंस रखने हैं, हम किसी के साथ कोई भी रिलेशन रखे, हमारी मर्जी है ना. यूएस कौन होता है बीच में बोलने वाला? बट ये स्टेटमेंट नहीं चलता है इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस में. ठीक है, यूएस के पास अपनी स्ट्रैटेजिक ऑटोनॉमी है. वो बोलेगा मेरे पास मेरी ऑटोनॉमी है, मेरी सॉवरेंटी है, मैं जिसके बारे में जो बोलूं तुम कौन होते हो चैलेंज करने वाले. तो ऐसे नहीं चलता है इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस. इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस वर्क्स ऑन द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ फाइन बैलेंस बिटवीन interests and acquisitions and the strategic importance of that nation at the global sphere. We have to trade with USA and we have to trade with Russia, we have to trade with China. हमें पाकिस्तान के साथ भी काम करना है, हमें हर एक नेशन के साथ काम करना है वर्ल्ड में. ठीक है, तो नाउ द पॉइंट इज हाउ टू अचीव आर स्ट्रैटेजिक ऑटोनॉमी एंड व्हाई इज दिस वर्ड ओवर हेयर. बिकॉज द एम्बेसडर हाईलाइटेड कि यार अगर आप अभी बोल रहे हो दैट इंडिया इज strategically autonomous. During the visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, there was a severe attack on Ukraine. There was a children hospital in Kyiv which was attacked by Russia, और जिससे बहुत सारे लोगों की जान गई वहां पे, even children's died. Now the point is US and West Europe has always been highlighting this thing that कि इंडिया जो कि रशिया के साथ ट्रेड कर रहा है, रशिया को अपने पैसे दे रहा है, is empowering Russia to attack on Ukraine. ठीक है, it's fueling the war expenses of Russia on Ukraine. जबकि वेस्ट is helping Ukraine by imposing sanctions on Russia. ठीक है, that is the narrative which has been created over the period of time since the attack of Russia on Ukraine. ठीक है, नॉट ओनली नाउ, ये बहुत टाइम पहले से, जब से क्रीमिया पे अटैक किया रशिया ने, जब से क्रीमिया का एनेक्सेशन किया तब से चल रहा है. ठीक है, नाउ द पॉइंट इज ये जो कमेंट आने वाला था दिस वाज प्रेडिक्टेड अर्लियर ऑल्सो. पीएम मोदी के जाने से पहले ही ये प्रेडिक्ट किया गया था कि हाँ ठीक है यूएसए ऐसा बोलेगा, विच इज़ क्वाइट नेचुरल कि यूएसए ऐसा बोलने ही वाला था. ठीक है, द पॉइंट इज क्यों ऐसा बोल रहा है? बिकॉज इट सेज दैट इंडिया एंड रशिया, बिकॉज ऑफ दिस नैरेटिव विच आई हाईलाइटेड ओवर हेयर, कि असल में इशू क्या है और क्यों यूएसए को प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है इस चीज से. बिकॉज दे वांट रशिया टू बी सप्रेसिव. बेसिकली अगेन इट्स द सेम ideological conflict which was there in the cold war, that is the capitalism versus socialism. ठीक है, all the socialism in its true nature is not present currently anywhere. So that is the basic idea which you should understand about this comment. So what the ambassador has said, that India and USA need to act together in times of need as trusted partners, and countries that have ignored sovereign borders like Russia in the past 3 years should be held accountable. He highlights this thing that Russia should be held accountable and India should now align itself with USA. And it also suggested India and USA to be open to criticize each other on human rights issues and NGOs. Understood this thing? That now it will highlight कि इंडिया में ह्यूमन राइट्स इश्यूज हैं, इंडिया में एनजीओज के इश्यूज हैं, और यूएसए के एनजीओज इंडिया में काम कर रहे हैं अगेंस्ट द इंडियाज आइडियोलॉजिकल डिबेट. इफ यू आर नॉट वेल अवेयर अबाउट दिस थिंग, इंटरनेशनल और द फॉरेन पॉलिसी, you should be aware of this because it's a like you can say inevitable part of your international relations. Done. US's concerns over Modi's visits are to somehow extent genuine because it coincided with the NATO conference, as was already discussed in the discussion of the Hindu earlier. Next important article is about BIMSTEC, and BIMSTEC is basically, this editorial is about that India hosts BIMSTEC foreign ministers amid raging Myanmar crisis.
म्यांमार में कूप चल रहा है, म्यांमार में क्राइसिस चल रही है बहुत टाइम से. व्हाट इज बिम्स्टिक? एंड इंडिया हैज़ रिसेंटली, कल ही हुआ है बिम्स्टिक का समिट दिल्ली में. तो द पॉइंट इज, व्हाट इज बिम्स्टिक? बिम्स्टिक इज बेसिकली the Bay of Bengal initiative of multi-sectoral technical economic cooperation. There are 7 nations to BIMSTEC. One is Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, Sri Lanka. Fine. And these are the South Asian nations, and there are two Southeast Asian nations, which are Myanmar and Thailand. Okay. Two Southeast Asian nations are there in the BIMSTEC. So total 7 nations. Okay. BIMSTEC connects South Asia, Southeast Asia, and the ecologies of Great Himalaya and Bay of Bengal. ठीक है. बिम्स्टेक कैसे बना? बिम्स्टेक बना 1997 में. और बिम्स्टेक कैसे बना? बिम्स्टेक बना बैंकॉक डिक्लेरेशन के अंडर. बहुत बेसिक जा रहा हूं मैं, स्टैटिक आपको पढ़ा रहा हूं, विच इज वेरी मच इंपॉर्टेंट. यहां से क्वेश्चन आता है तो स्टैटिक से ही आएगा. ठीक है. मेंस में क्वेश्चन आएगा तो एनालिटिकल आएगा. दैट इज समथिंग डिफरेंट. बिम्स्टेक जो हम आगे पढ़ेंगे, डोंट वरी. ठीक है. इनिशियली इट वाज अ 4 मेंबर स्टेट, जिसमें बस बांग्लादेश, इंडिया, श्रीलंका, थाईलैंड था. बट लेटर 1997 के बाद 2004 में नेपाल एंड भूटान का एडमिशन हुआ इसमें, और उसके बाद ये बिम्स्टेक बना. ठीक है. व्हाट आर द मेन ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ऑफ बिम्स्टेक? इट इज बेसिकली रैपिड इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ, equality and partnership, mutual assistance, common interests, accelerating the support for each other in the field of education, science, and technology. The main principles on which BIMSTEC works: the main principles on which BIMSTEC works are the sovereign equality, territorial integrity, political independence, non-interference in internal affairs, peaceful coexistence, mutual benefits. These are some of the principles on which BIMSTEC works. The potential of BIMSTEC, if you see, it acts as a bridge between South and Southeast Asia, and this BIMSTEC provides a platform. ये वाला point याद रखना. BIMSTEC provides a platform for what? For cooperation between two more organizations. One is SARC. That is why BIMSTEC gets important. One is SARC and another is ASEAN. ठीक है. सार्क और आसियान के बीच में इंटर रीजनल कोऑपरेशन अगर हो सकता है तो वो बिम्स्टेक पे हो सकता है. ठीक है. देर आर अराउंड 1.5 बिलियन पीपल and 22% of the global population which comes under the ambit of BIMSTEC. ठीक है. And BIMSTEC currently holds around 3.8 trillion USD का GDP. That is 3.8 ट्रिलियन डॉलर्स का जीडीपी है बिम्स्टेक का टोटल. ठीक है. बिम्स्टेक is at the 4th level when it comes to world's traded goods across the bay every year. ठीक है. If we see, there are more important projects which should be understood and kept in mind, which are there of India and other countries importance, जो इंडिया ने स्टार्ट किए हैं अक्रॉस बिम्स्टेक कंट्रीज. वन इज कलादन मल्टी मोडल प्रोजेक्ट, which links India and Myanmar, and this project was asked in UPSC 2023 prelims. There is Asian Trilateral Highway connecting India and Thailand through Myanmar. There is Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal motor vehicle agreement, which was also asked by UPSC in its mains question. So these are the important points which you should remember about BIMSTEC. Next important editorial talks about Red Sea. There is this Captain Avilash Rawat. Okay, Captain Avilash Rawat and his crew of an oil tankers have been named among the winners of International Maritime Organization Award for Exceptional Bravery at Sea for their extraordinary courage shown in the Red Sea rescue missions. Remember this thing, this can be asked in a one-day exam, and keep this thing in mind. वो जिस नेवी शिप पे थे उसका नाम है INS विशाखापट्टनम. ठीक है, क्लियर यहाँ तक. रेड सी कहाँ पड़ता है? रेड सी पड़ता है इस रीजन में. रेड सी के अराउंड कंट्री कौन कौन सी है? सऊदी अरेबिया, इजिप्ट, सुडान, इरिट्रिया, इथियोपिया एंड जिबूटी on this point. ठीक है, remember this thing. What are the important places in this region? If you see, there is this Mecca and Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. There is Al Hudaydah, which was in news of Yemen. ठीक है, this is basically Red Sea only. Should remember these places, very much important places. There is this strait known as Bab el Mandab Strait. The capital of Djibouti lies in Gulf of Aden. The capital of Djibouti, that is Djibouti, lies in Gulf of Aden, not in the Red Sea. Remember this thing. Okay. Next important thing is the Port Sudan, which lies on the coast of Red Sea. Okay. Then you should also know that this Red Sea goes and plays a part when we talk about the route through Suez Canal. Suez Canal mein there is this Little Bitter Lake, Great Bitter Lake, and then it goes to Mediterranean Sea. There is Gulf of Aqaba, in which the River Jordan and Dead Sea, this Rift Valley, which is there on the eastern side of Israel. This river valley, this Rift Valley is important because Dead Sea is there. Dead Sea has one of the highest salinity in the world. So these are some of the important points and places which you should remember. Remember this Gulf of Aqaba, and there is a canal which is being built over here to divert more trade through here and then achieve some economic benefits out of that. Okay, remember these places. Okay, this is the whole map of Asia which you can mark on your own. Some important places, which is this sea, which is this sea, which is this sea. What are the straits between these two seas? Which is this sea? Where is Marmara? Where is Aegean Sea? Where is Black Sea? Where is Caspian Sea? All of this you can remember. I'll show you, I'll tell you a simple thing to keep in mind so that it helps you in way forward in your mapping exercises daily. As I told you in the strategy session कि अगर आपको मैपिंग सीखनी है तो आपको मैपिंग के लिए बेसिक आइडिया तो होना चाहिए कि कैसे करें मैपिंग. ठीक है, रिमेंबर फॉर एग्जांपल यू स्टार्ट विद एशिया. ठीक है, द मैप इज नॉट कंप्लीट, so you should be aware that if you take the map of Asia, what you should do. For example, you start with this point, which is this strait, it's Park Strait. Then you go to this area, this sea, which is the sea. Okay, Arabian Sea. Then you go through here, reach here, which is this Gulf. Where what is this strait and what is this sea? इसका नाम क्या है? Then you come back to this area, Gulf of Aden, then Bab el Mandab, Red Sea, Gulf of Suez Canal, Gulf of Aden, not Aden, sorry, this whatever this Gulf is. Then you go to Mediterranean Sea. ठीक है, then you go to Asia Minor, Turkey. Then there is this strait, there is this sea, Black Sea, Sea of Marmara, and then you go to here. There is this Caucasus Mountains. You can go to here Ural Mountains, and then comes the Russia. रशिया के ऊपर देर आर मल्टीपल सीज विच यू शुड रिमेंबर, बिकॉज ऑलरेडी यूपीएससी आस्क क्वेश्चन अबाउट दिस एरिया ऑल्सो, कि अरेंज दीज सीज इन वेस्ट टू ईस्ट मैनर. Then you come back here, there is Sea of Oxo. Then you come back here, there is East China Sea, Yellow Sea, South China Sea, and you come back here, Gulf of Thailand, Strait of Malacca, Arabian Sea, this Bay of Bengal, and then you come back here. That is how you cover the Asia. पहले इसकी बाउंड्री हो गई, फिर इसके अंदर माउंटेन्स देख लो, फिर प्लेट्यूज देख लो, ठीक है, फिर माउंटेन रेंजेस देख लो, एंड देन कम टू द स्मॉलेस्ट ऑफ द थिंग्स. ठीक है, ऐसे आप मैपिंग कर सकते हैं. सो next important thing is about this Justice Kotiswar Singh and R Mahadevan. They are to be proposed for appointment of Supreme Court judges. Why is this important? Because Justice Kotiswar Singh will be the first judge from Manipur. Manipur बहुत टाइम से न्यूज में है because of the violence which is there between the Kukis and Meiteis. I want you to understand and remember the constitutional provisions about appointment of judges. ठीक है, what are the constitutional provisions? It goes from article 124 clause 2 to article 217, and it says article 124 clause 2 and 217 says that it's the president who will appoint the judges of Supreme Court and High Court under these two articles. Article 124 says that every judge of the Supreme Court shall be appointed by president. ठीक है, president appoint करेगा by the warrant under his hand and seal, but after consultation. Remember the keywords which I am highlighting here. After consultation with such judges of Supreme Court or High Court, and in the states as he may deem necessary. स्टेट में वो जिसको कंसल्ट करना चाहे करे एज पर व्हाट ही थिंक्स नेसेसरी, बट ही मस्ट कंसल्ट सच जजेस. दिस इज द वर्ड, these are the words of constitution. In article 217 it also says that every judge of high court shall be appointed by president under his warrant, under his hand and seal after consultation with Chief Justice of India, Governor of State, and in the case of appointment of judge other than Chief Justice, the Chief Justice of High Court and Chief Justice of High Court. Okay? Remember. Now, let's simplify it. First is Article 124. It says President consult करेगा such judges when he is appointing the judges of Supreme Court. ठीक है? This was the point of discussion and point of deliberation बहुत टाइम तक. इन्हीं दो चीज़ों पे फर्स्ट, सेकेंड एंड थर्ड जजेस केस आया और इसी चीज़ पे कलीजियम सिस्टम बना. दिस सच जजेस टर्न्ड इनटू कलीजियम एंड दिस कंसल्टेशन, इस वर्ड का इंटरप्रिटेशन देना था सुप्रीम कोर्ट को. सो द पॉइंट इज अबाउट द ऑटोनॉमी ऑफ जजेस, ऑटोनॉमी ऑफ जुडिशियरी, इंडिपेंडेंस ऑफ जुडिशियरी. द पॉइंट हाईलाइटेड ओवर हेयर इज कि आप जब जुडिशियरी को अपॉइंट करेंगे, जब जुडिशियरी के जजेस को, टॉप लेवल जुडिशियरी के जजेस को आप अपॉइंट कर रहे हो, तो आप किसको कंसल्ट करके अपॉइंट करोगे? इफ अगर एग्जीक्यूटिव खुद ही इनको अपॉइंट कर रहा है, प्राइम मिनिस्टर, काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स खुद ही बोल रहा है प्रेसिडेंट को कि इनको अपॉइंट करो, देन जुडिशियरी इज अंडर द इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ एग्जीक्यूटिव. तब तो जो गवर्नमेंट करेगी वो सब जुडिशियरी अप्रूव कर देगी, तब तो कोई पॉइंट ही नहीं रहेगा चेक्स एंड बैलेंसेस का. तो इसीलिए देयर वाज दिस डिबेट इन फर्स्ट जजेस केस दैट इस कंसल्टेशन वर्ड का मतलब क्या है. ठीक है, तो सेकंड जजेस केस में ये जजमेंट आई कि कंसल्टेशन का मतलब होता है कंकरेंस. सेकंड जजेस केस में ये मतलब आया, ये इंटरप्रिटेशन दिया दिस सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कि कंसल्टेशन का मतलब है कॉन्करेंस. ठीक है, पहली चीज। दूसरा चीज, सेकंड जजेस केस में ही बताया गया दैट दिस सच जजेस मींस कोलिजियम। व्हाट इज कोलिजियम? Collegium are some judges which should advise government. This president, it should not be the council of ministers which should advise, but judges which should advise, who should advise the president on the appointment of judicial. ठीक है, ये दो चीजें आपने याद रखी, आपका कंफ्यूजन क्लियर हो जाएगा। रेस्ट यू कैन गो थ्रू दिस, यू कैन गो थ्रू योर स्टैटिक नोट्स एज वेल। हाई कोर्ट्स में कंसल्टेशन कैसे होगी? चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया एंड गवर्नर, जब वो चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ हाई कोर्ट को अपॉइंट कर रहा हो, तो जब प्रेसिडेंट अपॉइंट कर रहा हो किसी और हाई कोर्ट के जज को, तब वो चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया, गवर्नर और चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ हाई कोर्ट तीनों को कंसल्ट करेगा। डन विद दिस, मूव फॉरवर्ड। ठीक है, दिस एडिटोरियल विच वॉज हाईलाइटेड ओवर हेयर इज अबाउट द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चरल ग्रोथ ऑफ इंडिया। इट टॉक्स अबाउट कि हमें इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में कितना ग्रोथ करना है इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स को लेके, देन ओनली वी कैन गो फॉर इलेक्ट्रिफिकेशन एट लार्जर पॉइंट्स। इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स को लेके सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम हमारे पास था चार्जिंग पॉइंट्स का, जो हमें इंपॉर्टेंट था हमारे लिए, और इसीलिए द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर अबाउट द इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स और द सपोर्ट सिस्टम ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स वॉज नॉट अवेलेबल, और इसीलिए इंडिया को ग्रीन ट्रांजिशन में इतना थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा टाइम लग रहा है। ठीक है, नाउ दिस एडिटोरियल टॉक्स अबाउट द बजट एंड इट सेज दैट वी शुड गिव मोर पुश टुवर्ड्स द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फॉर इलेक्ट्रिफिकेशन ऑफ द मोबिलिटी सेक्टर। ठीक है, डन, and then only we can see a growth in electric vehicles market. I want you to understand these 2 points because you can use these 2 points in your introduction. India का electric vehicle market is expected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 49% from 2022 to 2030. 2030 तक इंडिया के इलेक्ट्रिक मार्केट में, इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल मार्केट में 50% का ग्रोथ आ सकता है। ठीक है, एंड एनुअल सेल्स विल बी अराउंड 10 मिलियन यूनिट्स बाय 2030। अभी जो हम इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स की पॉलिसी डिस्कस कर रहे थे, उसमें द लिमिट ऑन इंपोर्टर्स इज 8,000 ओनली, एंड देयर कैन बी 10 मिलियन यूनिट्स विच विल बी सोल्ड बाय 2030। दिस इज अ डेटा बाय इंडिया एनर्जी स्टोरेज अलायंस। You should remember this thing. Government initiatives like FAME India initiative and PLI scheme are important in electric vehicle domain. ठीक है, rest there will be a detailed question today on electric vehicles and the transformation of India towards the green sector. You should attempt that question and send me your answer, then we will have broad discussion on this. Lastly, there is a article about the diabetes. Now, I'm not going into the nits and grits of diabetes. I want you to understand that what actually this editorial talks about. It talks about diabetes remission. ये बोल रहा है कि डायबिटीज रेमिशन होना चाहिए। डायबिटीज रेमिशन का मतलब क्या है? डायबिटीज रेमिशन का मतलब है कि आप नॉर्मलाइज करो अपना ग्लाइसेटेड हेमोग्लोबिन, कि आपके ब्लड में जो शुगर लेवल है उसको आप नॉर्मलाइज करो। कैसे नॉर्मलाइज करोगे? कि आप एक ऐसा रूटीन फॉलो करो, एक ऐसा लाइफस्टाइल फॉलो करो 3 महीने तक के लिए, कि आपका जो ग्लाइसेटेड हेमोग्लोबिन है वो नॉर्मल लेवल पे रहे। ये तो समझ में आ रहा है, नॉर्मल हिंदी है ये। बट आपको कोई भी दवा नहीं लेनी है, ग्लूकोज लोअरिंग ड्रग नहीं लेनी है। आपको बस एक काम करना है ऐसा कि आप एक ऐसा लाइफस्टाइल अडॉप्ट करो जिसको हम डायबिटीज रेमिशन बोलते हैं। मैं क्यों इतना ज़्यादा बोल रहा हूँ इस चीज़ पे? ऐसे ही चीज़ें यूपीएससी पीवाईक्यूज में आ चुकी हैं आज तक और आती रहेंगी। यूपीएससी में ऐसी ही चीज़ें आती हैं। ठीक है, विदाउट टेकिंग एनी ग्लूकोज लोअरिंग ड्रग्स। द रेमिशन इज नॉट अ क्योर बट अ स्टेट वेयर डिजीज इज नॉट एक्टिवली प्रोग्रेसिंग। तो आप क्या करते हो एक्चुअल में? कि आप अपने ब्लड लेवल, ये ग्लूकोज लेवल को नॉर्मलाइज करते हो विद योर लाइफस्टाइल। 3 महीने के लिए आपको ये काम करना है, जिसको बोलते हैं डायबिटीज रेमिशन। बस सक्सेसफुल रेमिशन अगर हुआ तो इससे हेल्थ केयर सिस्टम पे बहुत जो बर्डन पड़ा हुआ है ना, ड्रग्स का, टेस्ट्स का, डॉक्टर्स का, वो कम हो जाएगा। दिस विल रिड्यूस द सोशो इकोनॉमिक बर्डन ऑफ द पेशेंट्स ऑल्सो। ठीक है, अभी तक समझ में आ गया? ये है डायबिटीज रेमिशन, बस खत्म। नाउ रेमिशन के लिए स्ट्रैटेजीज क्या क्या है? सबसे पहली स्ट्रैटेजी है वेट लॉस। क्या आप अपना वेट लॉस करो। देयर इज स्टडी विच शोज कि 46% ऑफ टाइप 2 डायबिटीज पेशेंट्स हैव रीच्ड रेमिशन विद स्ट्रक्चर्ड वेट मैनेजमेंट। क्या अगर वो अपना वेट कम करते हैं, 10 से 15 किलो वेट कम करते हैं, तो उनको बहुत ही अच्छे रिजल्ट्स मिलते हैं डायबिटीज से लेके। सेकेंड इज बेरियाट्रिक सर्जरी। ठीक है, ये उन पेशेंट्स के लिए बेनिफिशियल होती है जिनका बीएमआई कम होता है 35 kg पर मीटर स्क्वायर। सेकेंड इज दैट 56% ऑफ रेमिशन रेट्स इन पेशेंट्स हु अंडरवेंट अ सर्जरी। ठीक है, जो बेरियाट्रिक सर्जरी करते हैं पेशेंट्स, उनका जो ग्लूकोज लेवल है वो कम हो जाता है। थर्ड थिंग इज लोअर कैलोरी एंड लो कार्ब्स डाइट। अगर कोई फॉलो करता है तो उसके लिए भी ये इजी हो जाता है डायबिटीज रेमिशन। ठीक है, दिस इज वेरी मच इंपॉर्टेंट आर्टिकल फॉर दोज हु आर सफरिंग और एनी वन हु इज सफरिंग फ्रॉम डायबिटीज in their family. Very much important. Try to adopt these uh, you can say the recommendations and you can say the suggestions. Lastly, there is an important article about Zika virus. Zika virus बहुत साल से न्यूज़ में है, 2 बार यूपीएससी के पीवाईक्यूज में आ चुका है, ऑप्शंस में एक बार आया है। ठीक है, तो रिमेंबर दिस थिंग कि मस्किटोज डू कैरी डेंगी, येलो फीवर, चिकनगुनिया एंड जीका। चारों चीज़ें मस्किटोज कैरी करता है, मस्किटो ही वेक्टर होता है। If you see current situation, there are around 15 cases of Zika virus in Maharashtra alone. A 74-year-old has died in Karnataka with Zika virus. And the point is that there should be increased surveillance of this virus because we do not have vaccines about this virus. The Zika virus or the mosquitoes who borne this Zika virus were first identified in Uganda in 1947. This too is transmitted by Aedes aegypti mosquito, the one who transmits this dengue. ठीक है, this can spread through sexual transmission. It can transmit from mother to the fetus inside her body. It can also transmit through blood transfusion. The symptoms include rashes, fever, conjunctivitis, muscle joint pain, and headache. These are some of the issues, points which you should remember about this. At last, there is a question about the Vedic society and the religion of Vedic society. I want you to go through this question, understand the answer, and see how you can relate the ancient India to the present. Because the question asks, ये जो मेन फीचर्स है ना, ये आप किसी भी बुक में पढ़ लोगे, एनसीईआरटी में दिया हुआ है, बट डू यू थिंक दैट दे आर स्टिल प्रिवेलिंग? दिस इज द क्रिटिकल पार्ट जो आपको समझना है। एंड दैट आई हैव हाईलाइटेड हेयर व्हाट आर द एलिमेंट्स ऑफ कॉन्टिन्यूटी ऑफ दिस, कि हमारी फैमिली अभी भी बेस्ड है, the basic unit of our society is family. It's still based on kinship only. Society is still patriarchal in nature. वर्ण सिस्टम अभी भी है हमारे पास, यजनास, योगास, यज्ञ, रिचुअल्स, ये सब चीज़ें हम अभी भी करते हैं। विष्णु और रुद्र की पूजा आज भी होती है। नॉट ओनली दिस, यक्षा एंड यक्षिणी की पूजा आज भी होती है। उपनिषद अभी भी हमारे फिलोसफिकल सिस्टम का बेस बने हुए हैं। ठीक है, तो दीज आर द एलिमेंट्स ऑफ कॉन्टिन्यूटी विच यू मस्ट हाईलाइट। ठीक है, रेस्ट I wish you all the best for the day ahead and for your preparation. You need any help, you can approach me on Telegram, WhatsApp, or you can directly go to Ignite Minds through our official numbers, through our official email IDs. You can reach me out. Okay, thank you.